Hello and welcome to the United Stand. We are live and I'm Zara. Today on the show we've got the lovely Joey, the lovely Paul and the lovely Kev. And before we start, I want to get this out of the way. I know it's been a great week for United, but we need to start off with LVG, unfortunately. Do you guys think he has a second chance? I don't think he deserves a second chance. 2 weeks ago, we all thought that he should get out of it. And then some of you now are switching, all because he's shown some little bit of passion today. And I don't think that's the case at all. So first of all, let's go to Joey. Do you think LVG deserves a second chance?
Based on today, no. I mean, who knows what the next few months hold? If all of a sudden we turn into, a winning machine and we go on a run of 20 games in a row, then, I mean, it's hard to argue. But look, I think today was more about us just taking our chances and Arsenal being very poor, thinking they could just show up. So on the topic of second chance, I'll keep it short. I'll let the other guys talk about it too. No, I can't see him getting a second chance. I think the negative football, the losses to the bottom sides, it's just not good enough. And plus he's only got a year left on his contract. There's not much else he can do. And again, I don't see us getting top four. So no second chance for me.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Maybe top four's looking even slightly unlikely, not as unlikely as it did the other week, but I still think LVG should go. At the end of the season, I don't think he should abruptly leave now. But was his flop that he did with the referee, was that a publicity stunt, or was that actually passion? Let's go to Paul. What do you think?
It was a good bit of acting, if nothing else. I do think it was passion. You could see he was angry. But I don't think he deserves a second chance after that result. We are picking up some form at the moment. We had 2 easy games, Midtjylland and Shrewsbury, and we thought, right, let's get the Arsenal game out of the way. Let's see how we do against Arsenal. If we win, then we'll reassess then. We have won. We did it convincingly. I thought it was a great performance, but for me, the damage has already been done. I think Van Gaal should have gone in after Christmas. He can finish strong at the end of the season, that's fine, but I still think he should leave and leave on a high if we do finish strong. Top four though, now a couple of weeks ago I thought it was gone. Now this might spark up a bit of a debate, but City have been on a bit of bad form recently, and as it stands we're only 3 points behind them, and yes, they have got a game in hand, but with their current form we could catch them. And I'm going to stay positive that top four, although it was looking unlikely recently, now it's looking a bit more likely. We've still got a good run of games left to go yet.
See, that's where it gets a little bit controversial. The only reason I think that we will get top four is if Spurs muck up somewhere. Somewhere along the line, if Spurs muck up, then I say top four is likely, and then we'll be able to have a shot straight in there. So let's go to Kevin. I think you were there at the match today. Do you think LVG should be in or out?
Listen, you leave it until the end of the season, and I personally think the change will be made. I don't think it makes any difference. I don't see anything that he can do from now till the end of the season. We're obviously not going to win the league. Got a slight chance of getting into the top four, which I don't think we will. I think there's more hope of us maybe winning the Europa League to get a Champions League place, but again, that's going to be difficult, and we're still in the FA Cup, but I don't think it changes much today. I think as a supporter, you go into the ground, you pay money to be entertained, and what I will say is, I know the Europa League game and the FA Cup game, they weren't great opposition. They're basically pub teams we were playing against. We played against a very good Arsenal team today, and I know a lot of Arsenal fans will say they didn't turn up. United fans will say, oh, we didn't have that much possession, shots on target. We played very well considering the team that we had out today. You have to look at the kids that were thrown in, the players that we've got out. We have Michael Carrick playing at centre-back. And Arsenal do bottle it now and again at Old Trafford. There's a few freak results. But desire, passion, commitment, we had it all today. And as a United fan, you can't ask for much more. And a Wivenshaw lad scoring 2 goals, 4 goals in 2 games. To see a lad coming through the youth setup as well, which United's been built upon since the days of Matt Busby. It's buzzing. And what Van Gaal did, I know we're all laughing about it, but for me, it's one of the funniest things I've seen as a United fan in a ground. Seriously, I was in tears laughing. I think that the ironic cheers were obviously because he got off his arse. So everyone was like, "Whee, at last a bit of passion." But when he dropped to the floor, I mean, it's great. It doesn't change my mind on him thinking, keep him on, we need him next season. But if he's going to go out with a bang, then I want to see that every week. Brilliant.
Yeah, I agree with that. But the only thing that worries me, Kevin, is that what happens if all these people change their mind and they go, oh, well, yeah, no, we want LVG in now for his whole entire contract.
You will get supporters that I wouldn't be surprised if you look on Twitter now and people that maybe 2 weeks ago that were 100% sure, you know, all these polls that get run, that they're actually starting to change their mind. Now, today is the first time that I heard Louis van Gaal's Red and White Army sang since well before Christmas that I can remember going to a match and hearing it. But it was sparked after that when he with the thing on the touchline. Now, I'm not saying that everyone's changed their mind on him because it certainly doesn't change my opinion. But like I said, if he's going to go out with a bang and behind the scenes he knows he's going in the summer, then why not play free-flowing football, attacking football, forget the philosophy of keeping the ball and that, take a few chances, and he really has got nothing to lose now because I think he's gone in the summer anyway, so just go out with a bang, play the kids if you want to. He can basically do what he wants from now till the end of the season, but you will get fickle fans. 2 weeks ago, maybe at Christmas, the turning point was probably when we got turned over by Stoke on Boxing Day. And maybe a few of them have saw that today, and now they'll all be banging on about Van Gaal's great and that. But I'm certainly not. I'm not climbing aboard that bandwagon just yet, anyway.
Yeah, completely agree with that. I'd say with LVG, I'd say this whole season we've all wanted him to get up off his chair and show some passion. And then when he's actually shown some passion, now it's got to the point where it's got to that part in the season where you think, is it too late? And for me, it is too late. But like Kevin said, you need that part of you that goes, he probably knows he's going at the end of the season. He needs to just get on with it, do his job for the rest of the season, and just give it a little bit of passion. And that's what I think he's doing. That goes on to the next point. Let's talk about Rashford, man of the match. Now, I think Rashford did excellent, but should all the credit be given to LVG for picking him in the starting lineup? What do you think, Joey?
No, he had to. I mean, I saw it on Twitter. Somebody said, if Keane had been healthy, Keane would have started up front, and it's probably true. No, I don't think, I don't think he should get the credit, but at the same time, the kid took his chance, man of the match by far. I mean, just a fairy tale. You couldn't even believe it. It's just crazy how many things, had to fall out in line for this kid to get a chance. Rooney gets injured, then Martial gets injured in the warm-up. Keane got injured in the last minutes of the FA Cup game, and it's just like the stars have aligned for this kid, and he's taking his chance. Both goals, just right spot, right time, being, clinical finishing, and I hope he keeps going. I hope they give him a chance. There was talk about what's going to happen when Martial comes back. And I said play 4-4-2. Let him and Martial play up front with Memphis out wide on the left. But does Van Gaal, and sticking to the question, does Van Gaal deserve the credit? No, absolutely not. And he's, you have to wonder. He has given youth a chance when the team has been healthy, but when he's in a spot of injuries, he has no other choice. No matter who the manager is, they have no other choice. So I guess that's my feelings on it, that he doesn't really deserve the credit now.
Yeah, completely. See, the thing is with Rashford, I think that the real genius in all this is Warren Joyce. I know that Mark agreed as well, mainly because he's been the one that's helped these under-21s be fantastic. I mean, this is getting to the point where the whole under-21 squad are better than our first team entirely. And I think that's great. It's great. It shows that we can actually have our United ethics back, bring people, work them up to the top, and then we don't have to worry about buying this player, buying that player, when we already will have, with all this coaching that's going to be done, great players in the squad already. I mean, I don't know whether you've seen it in the 53rd minute. There was it was Rashford through to Mata, and then Mata through to Memphis. It didn't get anywhere in the end, but you can tell that they've been working so hard, and Rashford wasn't even phased at any point during the match that he was in the Premier League. I mean, his first shot in the Premier League was a goal. That's saying something. What do you think, Paul?
Yeah, you have to admire his confidence. I've seen it in all of the youngsters that have been put in this season, is that they all seem to be playing like they've already played in the first team for a long time. It's like they've stepped in. Yeah, I've been here before. I know what this is like. The confidence is admirable. Should LVG get praise for putting him on, or take the credit? No. His hand was forced. He had to play him. So I don't think he should take any credit. But speaking about Rashford himself, though, what a player! He's a proper number 9, and what I like about him is not just the fact that he can hit a ball and score a goal, but it's his positional awareness as well. It's something we've been crying out for a number 9 role. Wayne Rooney, when he was occupying that position, coming deep all the time, you just know that those goals that Rashford scored, the positions he was in and around the penalty spot, Rooney wouldn't have been there. He'd have been floating around the edge of the area, So seeing Rashford, seeing that type of player in the box at the time we need him there, was something I like seeing, and I think he's got a big future ahead of him.
Yeah, I'd say that honestly, all United fans out there, we should be grateful that all these great players are injured, because it's actually given all these great players a chance to actually show themselves. Because otherwise, LVG wouldn't have put out any of these players. If Keane was well and fit, he would have been chosen rather than Rashford, and Rashford wouldn't even have had a look in at any point in the match. What do you think, Kev?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a funny one, really, because the squad, for me, the squad doesn't have any depth to it, really, and I think it shows how short we are. Now, for me, this goes back to the summer when Van Gaal let Van Persie and Hernandez go. Now, he brought in Martial, which a lot of us would have to admit at that stage we hadn't seen much of. And thankfully, he's turned out to be a fantastic signing so far. But he never signed another striker. And for me, I think a top club, you need competition for places. I think it's healthy to have 3 or 4 very good strikers. I mean, look at 99 when we had Sheringham, Solskjaer, York, Cole. You could play them in different combinations, but with Van Gaal, I really don't. I think he failed to strengthen in that department of the squad, and the fact that we're down to the bare bones, I think you have to give him a bit of credit. I think it's quite easy to say that he only had Rashford to throw in, but I mean, if he didn't have faith in him, he could have easily maybe played Memphis up front or brought Januzaj in and changed something around there. So I think Van Gaal has to get the credit, because he must have had faith in him and thought Rashford is ready to make this step. But again, did he have many other striking options? But yeah, I think he's had faith in him. He's brought him in, and it has paid off. And there's no doubt that it was a massive gamble bringing him in. But 4 goals in 2 games. He looks the part anyway for an 18-year-old to come into that squad. And I think Paul's comment was good then, because I think it does show that the youth team, they all play a similar sort of style of football, the kind of way that Barcelona do, because basically you're getting ready to step into the first team. It's not that much more of a step up because you're used to playing in that same system. But yeah, great for Rashford. Take the R off his name. He's an Ashford. Great surname.
Yeah, completely agree with you there. I do have to agree with some parts. I think that LVG obviously must have had some faith in him to play him. Must have, because otherwise, you're right, he probably would have stuck Memphis up front on his own. Januzaj would have been in there somewhere in the starting lineup. and that probably would be the case. And if LVG, didn't put Rashford there, we wouldn't be in the situation here today where we've actually beat Arsenal, and I think it's been a fantastic result. But it wasn't just Rashford that had great performances. There was Herrera, Schneiderlin, there was Blind. I think Blind actually was fantastic defensively. There were some points where I think there was a free kick going into goal, and Blind just did one kick, just cleared it out of there straight away, and I thought that was great. What did you think today, Joey?
You know what I like about Blind is he when the ball comes to him, and since LVG wants to play it out of the back, he's just so comfortable on the ball. And 9 times out of 10, almost 10 times out of 10, he's not going to lose possession. He's going to make the right decision. And I think that's a part of him being Dutch and being brought up in that, in the Ajax academy, just being so comfortable on the ball, making the right decision. Positionally, he's very rarely caught out of position. And with his pace, that is a worry. You're always worried that someone's going to get in behind him and expose him. But no, he's done exceptionally well. Look, he's not a center back, and he's done the job all year. He's done very well. Very few times he's made mistakes or been caught out. And honestly, I would really like to see him in the midfield. I would like to see him playing the CDM role, his natural position, or one of them, or left back. He's just a quality guy that you need in your squad. But speaking on performances, there were so many good performances today, especially Guillermo Varela. I'm sure we're going to talk about that. He was fantastic today. A lot of people were worried about Alexis Sanchez, and he got booked really early, but he was spectacular. Memphis was good. Just everybody was good today, and they needed to be. This is a game where everyone had to have a 7, 8 out of 10 type of game, and they all did. And to be honest, I didn't see the result coming, and I'm more than happy. But Daley Blind's got to be a guy that stays around the squad, because he's the type of player you need in your squad when you win titles, when you win Champions Leagues. You need to have depth, and not just depth. You have to have quality and depth. And I think Daley Blind is a quality player for me. I really do enjoy watching him play.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say that I was speaking to some of the fans today that actually went to the match, and they were saying that Blind is like Phil Neville in the sense that you can put him in any position that you want, but he doesn't have a specific one. He'll adapt to each and every one as best as he can, and I think that works perfectly when we're in this injury crisis right now. It just helps us out massively. But like you said, we can't forget about players like Varela. Varela, I think, was fantastic. Wasn't phased at all. And I really thought that Varela and Rashford, I thought they could be slightly phased today, and they just went full on, balls to the wall, straight there, and just wanted to get as many goals as possible and wanted that Man United passion that we all love. What did you think of the performances today, Paul?
All-round performances, you mean, yeah? Yeah. Well, first of all, it's just been brought to my attention that some of my coughing has been causing audio issues, so I do apologise for that. But yeah, the team's performance today was, as a collective, very good. We needed to pull together as a team. I did my match review for the United Stand earlier on, and as Joe was saying, the team needed to get 7s and 8s, and most of them did, for me anyway. Carrick, I thought, stood out in the centre of the defence. He had a bit of a shaky start at the beginning, getting booked for that foul on Wellbeck. Get in, son. But after that, he was very solid, made a lot of tackles, interceptions. He was very strong at the back, and Schneiderlin as well in the second half. Again, the first half, Schneiderlin wasn't that great, but in the second half, he was absolutely solid in the midfield, breaking down a lot of Arsenal's attacks. And Lingard was okay. Memphis, he was a bit quieter today. He didn't really get that many opportunities to really run at Bellerin, but when he did, take him right to the byline. And one thing that Memphis did do today that he hasn't done a lot in the past is when he does get into that position where he's got 2 or 3 players around him, he doesn't just run it off the pitch. He doesn't just get tackled. He held the ball very well today, waited for support, and distributed the ball very well, found a good pass. So I think for that, Memphis is showing signs of improving, being less selfish and growing, essentially. But yeah, as a collective, I thought the team performed very well today. And now I'll mute myself so I don't cough and ruin the audio again.
Yeah. I'd say that one of the comments I was just looking at was from CZ6000 said, Memphis looks hungry now, which is good to see. Completely agree with that. I thought this week I really wanted to see whether Memphis would actually come out of his shell and perform well really with Arsenal, because he's always great at the European games, and now we've actually seen that he actually can handle the Premier League, which I think is great. It's great progress, but he just needs to keep consistency. And if he keeps that consistency, then he will be one of the better players that we'll have in our squad. I'm sure that, when Alex actually looks at this back, he'll probably laugh at the fact that I'm being positive about Memphis for a change. But I honestly believe that he did play really well. Obviously not perfect, but it wasn't a perfect match. There's always going to be some iffy moments, but that's great because they'll be able to watch that back, improve on themselves, and then be even stronger for the next match. So what did you think of Memphis, Kevin?
I was impressed with the performance today. I think today was he did answer a few questions. I've been a bit of a critic of Memphis, and he wasn't great against Shrewsbury in the Europa League game. He really turned it on, and I think the question a lot of United fans was, well, can he do it against Arsenal in a big game today? And for me, he did. He's starting to do the simple things, which makes footballers look a lot better for me. And just solely for that, I mean, LVG was on about the start of the week about this. He wanted the players to be horny or whatever that meant. But that flick, that sort of like backheeled flick over his head or whatever he did today, I mean, that's what you want to go to Old Trafford for. This was the kind of things that Cristiano Ronaldo used to do week in, week out for United. People pay good money to go to Old Trafford. They want to be entertained. And they're the kind of things you go to see. Like Mata again in the corner, that little flick that he did where he sort of took three defenders out, see you later, he was off. Fans paid to see that kind of thing. And it's great to do when you're in a winning position. And with Memphis, I think it's an attitude thing as well. And that's why a lot of United fans don't take to him. I've got no problem with Memphis wearing leather jackets with a picture of his bird on his back or driving around in a Rolls Royce, as long as he's putting it in on the pitch every week. David Beckham used to do it. Fair enough, he lived that lavish kind of lifestyle, but he used to put it in on the pitch every week, so you didn't mind that. With Memphis, he's sort of come in, he's got the number 7 shirt, and he's got to earn that status now. And he is starting to perform, but he's got to do it consistently. And like I say, I've got no problem, whatever he wants to do off the field, as long as he's doing it on the field. That's all you can ask for as a supporter.
Yeah, completely. I'd say that with Memphis, that his ego was finally turned into passion. We've seen in his interviews at the start of the season with him, everyone was a bit unsure, saying, oh, who's this guy? And I remember in his interviews he was saying one of his biggest inspirations was Ronaldo, and I think we've seen snippets of that on the pitch. I'm not saying he's going to be anywhere near Ronaldo, God knows, but he did show snippets of the skills on there on the pitch, which it just oozed that Ronaldo style, and that excited me. Like, one of the guys commented in, I was saying, it was Nadeem Nizar said, do you think Memphis will flourish next season? I think with the way it's going, and hopefully if this is consistent every week, then yeah, I think it will flourish. But we could be in a completely different scenario next Sunday when we're talking about the same thing, when we could just go, no, he was absolutely terrible this week, consistency isn't there and he needs to keep working on it. And then we'll get to the stage where it'll be a 50-50 situation in the summer where he'll either work on it and he'll have it in the palm of his hands, or he'll just let it slip, let his ego come back, and then the work's not there on the pitch, and we need that work on the pitch. But hopefully, I think that we need him. Well, we need him. Hopefully, he'll be able to turn it around. Consistency will be there, and then we'll be able to show some good results on the pitch like we have today. But another thing that I want to talk about is with the way that the youth's going, with the way that the youth are shining more than what our first team players have done. Do you have any second thoughts on Jose? What do you think, Joe? What do you think, Joey?
What's funny is I do actually. But you need to have these second thoughts. I think that when you're talking about the managerial job at the biggest club in the world, you have to have every angle covered. And you watch it today, and you just think, is that going to be the end of the youth if Jose comes in? Every single person that says they want Jose in, they're like, oh, well, he's going to have to be different and sign something that says he's going to play the youth, because that's not consistent with his track history. And it does make you have second thoughts, because this is what this club is about: young players getting the chance. And it's just, I think that's what's attractive about this club, is just the romance and the history, and it's the best football story ever told. So you have to think about the youth, and you have to think about Jose Mourinho, and it does. But we'll have to wait and see. For me, it does raise questions, but I don't know. I do have second thoughts about it, honestly.
Yeah, I'd say that I've always been Mourinho in the whole way. I think that, yeah, he should be in as well, but it does make you have some second thoughts on whether we should be looking after our youth. We need to protect them now. But one of the things that on TalkSport today, they were talking about a manager, and they said when you have a manager, their job is not to go out and buy the best players, it's to bring out the best in the players. And Sir Alex Ferguson did that. We seen proof of Darren Fletcher of all players. He was great when Alex Ferguson was there, and he brought out the best in the players. Will Mourinho make the best of the players that we have now, including Rashford and Varela, or will he want to buy in new players? What do you think, Paul?
I'm not having any second thoughts about Mourinho at all. I've said it before. I think Kevin's also said it in the past. If Mourinho is offered the job, he will have a conversation with Edward Wood or whoever employs him, and they will say, look, you need to buy into the United way. They will speak to Mourinho, and they will say, this is how the club, this is the culture of the club. You need to buy into this culture if you want this job. And Mourinho wants the job. It's no secret. And I have no doubts in my mind that he'll buy into the United way. I think he will give youth a chance. So, no, I don't think, I'm not having any second thoughts about Mourinho. I don't really think anyone should, to be honest. But I know that some people's first thoughts are to not employ Mourinho. But I'm totally confident he'll buy into the United way and it'll give youth a chance.
But this is a guy who's never, ever done this before. So I just want to raise a little bit of a debate about it, because I think it's a good topic. There has been no reason for, Jose's going to come in and he's going to say, this is the way I'm going to do things, this is my way or the highway, and the club were so desperate to get him, and I just don't see any reason why he's going to come in and say, you're going to tell me how to do my job? Look at my track history. I mean, yeah, I go out and buy players, but I guarantee trophies and things like that. I just don't see Jose Mourinho laying down and going, oh, yeah, oh, definitely, I'll put youth players in my team, no problem. Because he's never done it. He's bought young, promising players like Varane, but he's never actually put a squad. I mean, look at Chelsea now. Ruben Loftus-Cheek. I mean, I couldn't tell you much about him, but I know that every Chelsea fan wants them to play him. He's a promising young academy player. I mean, and he barely could get a look in. And then you look at how many players they have thrown out on loan. They had, 20, maybe 30 players out on loan. So I just don't think that – and I don't ask Paul this. Do you think Mourinho's going to come in and lay down and say, oh, yeah, you're going to tell me how to do my job?
Maybe not necessarily like that. But, you walk into any job, that company is going to have a way of working. They do things their way. You go into that job and you work in that way. And yeah, as a member of staff or an employee, you have your own way of doing things as well. You sort of meet in the middle. But Jose's previous clubs, I mean, I don't know much about their youth academies, how many bright players they had coming through. But it's evident that Man United have quite a few coming through. I just honestly think that he'll give him a chance. I think that he'll know that if he doesn't, it's not going to sit well with the Old Trafford faithful. But
will Mourinho actually give one, whether what we think? He won't give one. He's got that sass about him where he'll just be like, I don't give him what you think. I'm doing my job, and that's the end of it.
I see what you're saying. But this is Manchester United. This is a big animal. This isn't Chelsea. This isn't Porto. This is Manchester United. This is a club that he loves. I don't know, maybe I'm just being stupid, but I seriously believe that he will buy into the United way, and I think he'll give youth a chance. We'll see, probably, next year if I'm right or wrong.
Yeah, see, one of the comments that's just come in has said, it's from Neil Graham, and Neil Graham's just said, what's more important, youth players or winning? See, now, That's where it gets a bit complicated for me, because the youth players, I believe, that screams Man United. And then when you think of winning, you think that screams Man United too. But Mourinho's going to go for one or the other. That's what I think. Unless, for instance, see Rashford, he's only just started playing now. He needs to show consistency as well. If we can get these youth players to show consistency for the rest of the season, then Mourinho will come in and he will use them. They need to prove themselves to Mourinho now. And that's what I think will happen.
Going back to that guy's question, what's more important, winning or youth? It is a good question, I guess. What I would say is you don't have to play every single player from the under-21s in your first team every game. It doesn't have to be 5 or 6 or 7 players. It only has to be 1 or 2. You know, the rest of them can be world-class players in every position. It doesn't have to be every player has to be an under-21 or a United graduate.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think, Kevin?
I think you need a happy balance, don't you? Really, it is a great question, because we could sit here all night and debate what's more important. I think you need to bring you through, and obviously you need to win trophies. If that can come with it, then that's great. But I mean, I do agree with Paul on the Mourinho comments as well. For me, I think that if Manchester United employ Jose Mourinho, they will seek assurances from Mourinho that he will at least entertain the youth and look at them to bring them through. Now, a lot of people, like you said earlier about Van Gaal, a lot of people are subscribing to this theory that Van Gaal's giving youth a chance, whereas it's been forced upon him, if anything. If you look at the injuries, I mean, Varella's in the team, but once Luke Shaw comes back, you know, I would put Luke Shaw in as a first-team starter every day of the week. I think leading up to his injury, he was easily United's best player. And I think once all the first-team players start getting back into action, then it's going to be limited. But these players have to take the chance when they come through. And this is where Rashford has definitely, he's taken his opportunity. And we could never have wished for it to be as good as it is at the minute. He's 18 years old. He's come in 4 goals in 4 games. You have to take these opportunities when you're given them. You can wait a hell of a long time, but when it comes along, you take it and you stamp your authority and you earn that place in the squad. But Mourinho, it doesn't. I would have no second thoughts about him. I honestly think that United would seek assurances and he would have to adapt to the United way. I really do. I think he will come in, he'll bring his own players in, but he'll have 2 players for each position, and he definitely will use the youth, I think. That's my personal opinion.
See, I agree with that. I think that one of the guys was commenting now saying it's Dean Talbot, and he said Mourinho will get job objectives, and oh god, I've just lost it. That they will say that you have to include the youth, and I think that that's the only way Mourinho will, because did you see someone else commented as well saying that Chelsea youth they won their league 3 years ago and Mourinho didn't use any of them, didn't bring not even one of the youth players up, but I don't think they needed a player then. So maybe if it was the right time and right place, Mourinho would use the youth, and if it was in his contract, then sure he'd do it. But that gets me to this next point. In this state that we're in now, do you guys think that top 4 is a possibility for us, in the sense that with this youth team that we've got during this injury lineup? What do you think, Joey?
I think it'll be very tough. I think there's, still 10 games to go. I think 10, 11 games, some very winnable games. I think a better grasp on it will be after the next 2. We're playing Watford at home, and then I think it's West Brom away. 2 not easy games, but 2 winnable games. Because our players are going to start coming back from injuries. We beat Watford earlier away. So yeah, I think it's a long shot. I think the Europa League's the more likely of the 2. You're going to have Tottenham and Dortmund playing each other. Hopefully we knock out Liverpool. So then you really just have to worry about the winners of that tie and the Spanish teams. I think the Europa League's much more likely than top 4. But there's still 10, 11 games. It's like 30-some points left to play for. City are still in the Champions League. They're going to be in the next round. So it'll be interesting. City will get a lift off this Capital One Cup. But I know a lot of those teams, Arsenal play Spurs next week. We could have a capitulation, and Arsenal could just, anything can happen. I mean, you look at when City won the title, they were 8 points back in February. We don't know how that ended. So it's just a frustrating one because we've seen this before. We've seen Van Gaal win a couple games and then lose, 2 or 3 in a row and not even score. I like the way it's going with the youth. I think that we've been a little bit more direct. And I just think that his philosophy, his hold on to the ball, the players don't enjoy it. No one enjoys it. And it just doesn't work. It's shown that it doesn't work. And I said in December, his downfall is going to be his failure to change. If he changes and lets them go more direct, similar to today, not many chances we had today, but we put it in the back of the net when we needed to. Marcus Rashford, like you said, being in the right place at the right time, anything's possible. I give it about a 30% chance of getting top 4.
See, I'm on the edge about it now. There's been this glimmer of hope that it is a possibility, but the thing is, City have a game in hand, and then, like I said, if Spurs muck up, then yeah, I think that we can get top 4. But people are saying on the comment box now that City could get tired. They've got Champions League and everything. They could get tired. There could be a chance there. And then with the way Arsenal play today, they might not get top 4, and we might get a chance there. But I'd rather get top 4 with us playing really well, not waiting for another team to muck up. I'd rather be back to the old United where we could just go head on, go for it, and we'd be able to win all these trophies. What do you think, Paul?
Well, a few weeks ago, I thought top 4 was completely out of the question. I thought we've got no chance. It's too big of an ask. What I didn't envisage was City losing 2 games in a row and dropping 6 points. In that time, we've picked up a few points and we've closed the gap. It's currently 3 points. They do have a game in hand, but with their current form, anything can happen. I'm not going to say that our chances have increased drastically, because as Joey, I think it was, just said, and quite rightly so as well, we've seen this before. When United have gone on a couple of games where they've played really well, they've won, and then that'll just all go out the window because Van Gaal suddenly now has a bit of a cushion, so we can revert back to the boring, let's just tease the opposition a little bit and then try and attack. It can go back the other way again. But as it stands at the moment, if we keep playing the way we are, the youth, keep that hunger, that desire to keep, to make a name for themselves. And if City continue this poor run of form, I say poor run of form, they've only lost 2 games, but if they lose a couple more games, it blows the thing wide open. So I think now, although it is still a big ask, it's not as big as it was a few weeks ago for top 4. So there is a chance, I think.
See, our next games, we've got Watford and we've got West Brom. I think we'll win them. If we don't, then once again we're going to be in the same situation like we were a couple of weeks ago, where we've gone, what on earth did we do? If we win them, then I'd say it is looking slightly likely. I'm like Joe. I'm about 30% sure that we'll get top 4. That 30% is key. We're not entirely sure. We're not even 50%. What about you, Kevin?
Personally, I've tried to put a positive spin on it. I would say, well, until it's mathematically impossible, there's obviously a chance. You've got to look at this week. City travelled to Anfield on Wednesday night. That won't be an easy game for City. I mean, even if they drop points and draw the game, we play Watford that night. Now, Jesus, we should be beating Watford, and then we go to obviously play West Brom on Sunday. We've still got to play City as well. There's what is it, 10 games left. There's points up for grabs, and United really have to kick on now. I don't think we can't afford many slip-ups. Of course we will. I can't see us going unbeaten from now until the end of the season, but we are kind of heavily relying on other teams slipping up. And if there's any glimmer of hope, it's probably the performance that Arsenal did kind of put in today. if their heads have gone now because of the points gap, it does seem that maybe that opportunity has gone to close the gap on Leicester. So you don't know what their players are thinking. And likewise with City now, like I say, that's going to be a difficult game on Wednesday night when they travel to Anfield. So plenty to go for. But obviously I'm wearing red tinted specs at the minute. If I had money, I wouldn't bet on United getting in the top 4. But yeah, where there's hope there, isn't there? That's all we can do. Just believe, and every match go along and just hope, really. All we can do now is do our best to win every game from now until the end of the season. It's going to be hard, but that's all we can do. That's the position that we find ourselves in. And I do blame Louis van Gaal for it. I know a lot of people will say that the players have to be questioned and that, but I thoroughly think it's down to him.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, obviously, I can imagine you all feel the same way about how much we all miss the Champions League. We miss the music of the Champions League. I mean, that Champions League was great for us. It helped us along with experience for all the players. And now we're getting to the point where next season could be the same scenario again, still fighting and fighting to get that Champions League back. I mean, do you guys think that we'll be able to do well in Europa? So what do you think, Joey? Do you think we'll do well in Europa and we'll be able to get something good out of this season?
I've been saying it. People are probably tired of hearing me say it, but you know, all our eggs are for me in that Europa League basket. I think that's the easier, the likelier of the two of top 4 or that. Liverpool are never, it's never easy playing your rival in a 2-legged tie. It's the first time it's going to happen in European play. It's going to be a hell of a match, both of them. It's going to be exciting. I'm really happy that we have the home leg in the second one, in the second leg. So I think we can do well in it. I think, especially if we get Smalling back. Earlier in the season we were really set up, defensively, and we had all those clean sheets with De Gea. First it was Romero, then it was De Gea. But I just think the way we were set up defensively, anything can happen. The organization was good. Now, if Rashford keeps scoring, and Martial comes back, Schweinsteiger's coming back soon, hopefully, anything's possible with Memphis, on fire. You just need the players to all catch a bit of form at the right time. Last spring, we went on that incredible run where we beat some pretty damn good teams, some pretty memorable moments. Wanfield, the City game, all that. So I'm just hoping we can go on this run right now. I'm hoping, that we just keep winning games in every competition. It'd be nice to do, a little cup double, Europa League, FA Cup, and I'm probably dreaming. But the Spanish teams, I think, are probably going to be the toughest test. I think it's Sevilla still in it. They seem to win it every year. Dortmund, quality, all over the pitch. Marco Reus is world class. Aubameyang's got pace for days. So I mean, and I want to see, clubs like Dortmund, clubs like Sevilla, they're teams that are usually in the Champions League. So that's a good test for us to see where we're at and see where these young kids are too. But for me, yeah, Europa League for me, I don't know, maybe because it's, I don't know, just for me it's the easier of the two. And I think we can do well. I think we will get by Liverpool, to be honest. I'm sure we'll talk about that more in previews and reviews, but LVG, if there's one thing for certain with LVG, he owns Liverpool.
Yeah, completely. I think that Liverpool will have to win that one. I mean, we've got to beat those Scousers. And then, as well as that, I want to skip on this point. I noticed during the match that when Wellbeck came off, there was booing. Now, do you guys agree that Wellbeck should have been booed? I'll go to you first, Paul.
Well, I'll say no, because I wouldn't have booed him. I don't know. I don't think he asked to leave. I think he was pretty much forced out by Van Gaal. I'm not saying that was the wrong decision at all by any means, but I don't think he deserved to be booed. He has scored a couple of goals against us, but he hasn't gone running at the touchline and celebrating. He's been fairly respectable about it. I don't think he deserved to get booed. Not all the fans booed him. There were, quite a few applauding him as well. But no, I don't think he deserved to get booed. I think that was a bit harsh.
Yeah, I'd say it was a bit harsh. I mean, He's Manchester born and bred. He came through the Manchester youth. What's your take on it, Kevin?
Yeah, for me, I mean, I wouldn't boo him. I mean, some of the fans, if the boos were aimed at him, I think it's to do with the goal that he scored last year in the FA Cup and he celebrated. But for me, he left Manchester United to go and play first team football. United agreed to sell him. He didn't push for a move. United agreed to sell him. He's gone. And there's one bugbear of mine in football. It's all this, will he celebrate against his old team? You know, this, that. I mean, look at Cristiano Ronaldo. His name's still sang on the terraces at Old Trafford at away games every week. United fans, fair enough for what he did to United. But this is he engineered a move away from United. He said he was a slave to the club. He was being held back. He wanted his dream move to Real Madrid. He went, and we applaud that. But yet, you get a lad that grew up, 5 minutes down the road from me, alongside Danny Wellbeck, who was at the club from the age of he was only a little boy at the time when he was there. United had brought him through, and they agreed to sell him because he couldn't get in the team. What is he supposed to do? If he scores a goal, that's his profession, the club that he's representing. And there's one thing I don't agree with. Like I say, it's all this will he, won't he celebrate and all that. Fair enough. That team is paying your wages. Show a bit of passion. That's what you want to see. And for me, I don't agree with any United fan that would have booed Danny Welbeck. He grew up at United. United showing him, basically taught him how to play football. He's gone on, and United agreed to sell him. So yeah, I certainly wouldn't have booed him today. Or I didn't anyway. So no, don't agree with it.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't have booed him if I was there. I mean, fair enough, he celebrated that goal in the FA Cup, but the thing is that he has to move when he wasn't getting first team plays. That was the main reason. He always said, I mean, you can look past on like his interviews and everything. He always said that his team was Manchester United. And fair enough, he celebrated that goal. Fair enough, it shows that he wasn't that keen on Manchester United, but he was. He was a huge Manchester United fan. He grew up with it, and that really showed passion in him. That
was a big goal that Welbeck scored for Arsenal in that FA Cup tie. It was a huge goal, and what I will say, he might have got a bit carried away in the moment, but he's just scored. It did turn out to be the winning goal in, what was it, a quarter-final of the FA Cup against Man United at Old Trafford. Maybe he got a bit carried away with it. Now, the goal today, he scored it at the Stretford end. It's not like he ran up to the Stretford end, like you think of Adebayor years ago when he scored for City against Arsenal and ran the whole, length of the Etihad and went down on his knees. He wasn't rubbing it in that much. I just think, maybe he just got a bit carried away last year, but sorry to interrupt you there. I'll let you carry on.
I don't mind just interrupting me because it gives me a chance to hear what you guys think. See, I really don't think anyone should have booed him. I mean, as a true United fan, you wouldn't have booed him because he didn't celebrate this time. Fair enough, he did a couple of tiptoe back, a bit head held high and stuff, but nothing major. But back to the performance today of how we did. Room for improvement. I think that one thing that I did notice was Rojo. He was a bit shaky, and that worried me. Do you think that all these injuries, is it worth keeping him? What do you think, Joey?
Keeping Rojo?
Keeping Rojo.
Would I keep Rojo going into the future?
Yeah, going into the future. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, look, he's just coming back from injury. I think he's valuable to the squad and that he can play left back, he can play center back. He's got a bit of a bite to him. I just think that it's unfortunate because he can't seem to stay healthy. When he is healthy and he does get a run of games, he's a good player for me. In the Europa League, he came on late, and it was funny because Memphis is doing all these tricks, and he kind of tried. He was feeding off of that and kind of tried a few tricks too at the end of that game. Yeah, I like Marcus Rojo. I think he's a perfect type of player you need in your squad. You need guys like him. You get guys like Daley Blind. They don't mind. Well, hopefully they don't mind. Not being everyday starters, but they're happy to do the job when they're called upon. So yeah, for me, I like Rojo. I think I like him better at left back than I do center back. I think he's decent getting forward. I think he has a decent cross on him. And I think he's got a bit of a mean streak about him. Not saying that he's not he's not gonna get sent off all the time, but he's just got a bit of a bite to him. He's aggressive, and I like that in a player, especially like in a defender. There's too many soft defenders around football now. I was talking with somebody about Diego Godin the other day. He goes down and he's rolling around on the floor. I don't want to see that from my defenders. So yeah, I would keep Rojo.
Yeah. See, the thing is with Rojo is he's absolute quality when he's got full fitness there. Absolute quality on the pitch. Defends great. But Paul, do you think that he's going to be another RVP in the sense that one season he suffers of injuries and then the next he's amazing and then back to having tons of injuries? What do you think, Paul?
With Rojo, or Rojo, whatever you want to call him, I think he will be good as a squad player. I don't think he's the world-class centre-back that we need to put in with Chris Smalling. And he's definitely not half the left-back that Luke Shaw is. So I think we should keep him on as a squad player because he is talented, he is good on the left, and he can play in the centre, and he can even play on the left in midfield as well. So he's not just a squad player, but he's versatile as well. So he can play in more than one position. So I think we should keep him as a squad player. But of course, there is that worry about injuries. He has been very injury-prone recently. I guess he'll probably see how it goes next season. You've got to think as well, you've got Cameron Borthwick-Jackson, who I think is probably better than Rojo, whatever you want to call him. So it is a tough one. It is a tough one. I don't think we should be too hasty and get rid of him this summer. I think we should give it another year and then assess the situation again next year. But I think he'll make a good squad player.
Yeah, see, I think we'll just have to wait to make a decision on Rojo. Because it's just one of those situations where he's just suffered so badly. Whereas last season, I thought he was top. He was great. But then the other improvement I think we need to make is Lingard. I noticed that his spatial awareness was all over the place. He caused some panic on that pitch. What do you think, Kevin?
I thought Lingard did all right today. I'm not. I will say I'm not a huge Lingard fan. I was one of them sort of supporters who sort of failed to see what he actually brought to the party sometimes. I think he's kind of very lightweight, gets knocked off the ball. But again, when he's on song and he creates chances. Now, when you bring somebody like Rashford into the team and you've got the youngsters around him, I think it gives him kind of more confidence to go out there and be on his game and play football. Yeah, my one thing with him is probably, if anything, he maybe just needs to bulk up slightly. And again, it's this word consistency. It's just finding a balance really between putting in performances. But again, when everybody's fully fit, I really don't see Lingard being a first team player at Manchester United. If we want to get back between the European elite, getting in the Champions League, I personally do not see Jesse Lingard being a first team football player at Manchester United who's going to make that position his own. I think there are better players when fully fit who would walk into that first team ahead of him. Now, he will be a good squad player, but everybody always says, somebody said it to me the other day, oh, he's only young. I don't know where everybody's got this from. I think everyone seems to think that Lingard's like about 17, 18 years old. I think it's probably because of the way he looks, because he does look young, but people forget, I think he's, 24, nearly 25? And I mean, for a footballer, he should be coming into the prime of his career within the next couple of years. So in that sense, he's probably a bit of a late developer. But yeah, I see him as a squad player, to be honest.
Yeah, see, Lingard's 23, and I think he's a good player and all, but we need someone in his position that's going to actually develop really well. And at his age, he should have been showing a bit more confidence, a bit more style to his play. But on to a better note, I think we had a great day today, a great win. And what's your final thoughts, Paul?
On today's game, or the week in general?
Week in general, really. I think it's been a good week
Okay.
for United.
Yeah, absolutely. Some fantastic results. We're scoring goals. That's the main thing. Earlier on in the week, we were saying, we're playing lower opposition, Danish, Midtjylland, League One strugglers, Shrewsbury, and we all knew that Sunday, today, the Arsenal game was going to be the big test. So that's the one we were all looking forward to. I wasn't confident, to be honest. I thought we were going to get beat. I don't think it was going to be quite the walkover that it was at the Emirates, but I thought we were going to get beat. But then we came out and played fantastic football, got 2 quick goals, and it really capped off a really good week for us. And it leaves the players full of confidence going into the coming weeks. And they'll be aware as well of the top 4 situation with City dropping points. They'll be fully aware of that. And I think if they can carry that momentum going forward, then I think we're going to have a few more of these positive Sunday live shows. Or at least I hope anyway. But yeah, it's been a good week for United. Plenty of goals. And yeah, let's hope it continues.
Yeah, I hope it continues too. What about you, Kevin?
Yeah, good week. You've got to be positive. If you want to put a slight dampener on it, the only thing I don't want this to be is a false dawn, because so many times this season we've just been up and down. I always say it's like 1 step forward, 2 steps back. If we do not do the business against Watford on Wednesday night, all this hard work, all the work of the Arsenal game it just falls to pieces. I want 3 points on Wednesday, and then we just take each game as it comes now. I think each game has to be even. I don't want to be small-minded and sound like an Arsenal fan because we're trying to get in at the top 4 and win the top 4 trophy. But we have to treat every game now from the end of the season, Premier League-wise, and in the Europa League as a cup final. That's what we have to go for. Final thought of the day is Louis van Gaal dropping to the floor. I never thought I'd see that man get off his arse and show any passion. And do you know what? I'll be able to tell my grandkids that I was there that day when Louis van Gaal got off his arse, ran out, fell on the floor. Everybody was laughing. Do you know, Sir Alex Ferguson was sat about 7 seats away to my right. And while I was laughing, I looked round at him and he had his glasses off, wiping the tears away from his eyes. That's how funny it was. And do you know, the hilarious thing about it is the fact that he never even dropped that clipboard, that prize clipboard, whatever he does with that clipboard. I'm sure he's writing down his Chinese order for the night or whatever he's at, but he never even dropped it or the pen. Fair play to you, Louis van Gaal.
Yeah, see, I believe there's some sort of like adult colouring book he's got in that clipboard, and he made sure he didn't drop it. I mean, I honestly thought that was hilarious. Although it probably was a publicity stunt, it was the funniest thing I've ever seen. It's like, I was watching it on Sky Sports and I had to rewind that over and over. I mean, I was crying for a good solid 10 minutes at that. What's your final thoughts, Joey?
It's funny that Kevin said Chinese because in my review I was talking about, he draws and he goes, "Hey Giggs, look at this kitty I drew," So I guess he has the cat from the Chinese food. A few things. Kevin's got that Morgan Schneiderlin look going on. I thought that was Morgan Schneiderlin when he first signed on. Next, we're going to have a moment of silence for all the Arsenal fans who all week just chatted about how bad they were going to spank us and how many times they got retweeted today. So, okay. Now, and I think Kevin hit the nail on the head. I want to see consistency from this team. I want to see us go out, beat Watford, beat West Brom, continue in the cup competitions. I think part of when Louis van Gaal fell, he said it in his post game. I just got emotional. That's what we want. We want you to show emotion. We want to get up out of your chair, show something, give some fight. Especially when the club was on cardiac arrest with him. We're losing to Norwich and Sunderland and all these teams. We need to see that from the manager, and the players will get a rise out of that. And the funniest part about it all is it's so true. If you even touch Alexis Sanchez or breathe on him, he falls over. So for me, that just it was perfect. But going forward, consistency. I just want to see more of the same. Taking chances, no more boring possession. When Martial comes back, 4-4-2. So, it's going to be an interesting spring. That's all I have to say about that.
See, my final thoughts is just keep up the consistency, guys, and also we need to bring that Manchester United fire on that pitch, that passion. And then with that passion, we'll win these games, and then hopefully we'll get some good results. But also, just to end on this note, Ethan Frost has put, breaking news, Alex is buying a Rashford shirt. It's over, lads. Let's all pray, all of the United fan lot, that Alex does not buy a Rashford shirt, because otherwise we are in an absolute ditch and we're screwed.
He curses every player, Alex.
He does. Every single player he will curse. We'll hear from him tomorrow, and he's bought the whole entire squad. And then that's it. We're in the Evo Stick Northern Premier League. That's what'll happen to us.
He just named his kid Marcus Rashford.
The thing is, that wouldn't surprise me if he did that. But the way he's been talking, he'd call his kid Martial probably. And then that'd even be worse. He'd be injured for life. Right. So guys, please comment and subscribe, and then just keep in contact with us. We're all on Twitter. I'm at @Z_Silverstone. Give us your thoughts and keep commenting, and we'll comment back. We'll have mini debates. Thanks for watching. Bye.